What up, guys? Welcome to Music Blueprint. My name is Gina Fontanella, and this is episode number 8, which I'm really pumped about because I get to talk about something that I have dealt with most of my musical career, and that is touring. And it's a beast. There's no way that I'm going to cover it all in one episode. It's just too much to handle, but we're going to start from the beginning and work a little bit towards the end and see if it helps you in any way. So, the first thing you got to start with is where you want to tour. Pick a city, pick a place. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you are. Switzerland, the US, I don't know, Nevada. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are, pick a place that you want to tour. And most of touring has to do with research. And that is the worst part of touring. I've spent thousands of hours looking at a city and finding a place to play. It sucks. So sucks, especially when you're driving through a city that is either not a musical place or is in the middle of nowhere, so they don't really have any place for you to play. It sucks. But when you get to play the show, it's so worth it. So, first, you do some research, and there's a lot of different sites out there that you can do research on. Obviously, Google is your best friend in this scenario, but more specifically beyond Google, there's Indie on the Move. Also, just again, really just going into Google and just typing in like Albuquerque, New Mexico places to play, or where can I play a show in Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, like you literally could just type in those things to Google and a lot of stuff will pop up. I would say that the goal is you get about 30% of people to message you back, depending. It depends on how niche your genre is. So if you're screamo, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to find a place to play. Basically, and hip hop. I would say screamo and hip hop are the two that are really hard to find a place to play. Maybe even R&B in some cities. But you find about 30 places in each city that you, at least. Sometimes I would find more, probably closer to 50. And then I would, in an Excel spreadsheet, write down all those places, the city that they're in, who's their point of contact, not only their email, but also a phone number if they had a phone number online. And then I would also, and this is the really, really key point, look at their calendar and see if the date that you're wanting on their calendar lines up with you. For instance, if you go to their calendar and you see that that night is screamo night and you're a folk artist, that's not going to line up. Not at all. The whole audience there is going to be screamo. That's not the fans that you want anyways. But you don't want to email them and say, hey, I saw June 6th, there's a band playing. I'd love to open for them. And the guy's like, cool, what's your music? Send me some of your links. You send him your links and he's like, that band's a hard rock band. You're talking about daisies and flowers. That's not really going to line up for us. And that instantly shows them that you're not experienced, that you're novice, that you don't know what you're doing per se. And most people, when you haven't done the due diligence of finding out the information that you needed to find out, they just won't answer you back. And sometimes that could have either burnt a bridge, which I wouldn't say in terms of if you asked for the wrong date that they would do that. It doesn't really burn a bridge, but it does give the appearance of this person doesn't know what they're doing. Or the other side of it is that you have to email them again or hound them, because let's say you were really needing that date to fill out your tour and you're like, this will put us above on tour or just make us break even on tour. If you've already messaged them and they didn't message you back, it's a slim chance that they're going to message you back within the next 6 months to a year. So you want to be professional. You want to know what you're saying. You want to know what you're looking for. You don't want to just aimlessly email people and waste people's time, because I don't know about you, but I hate when people waste my time. I'm like, get to the point. What do you need? Let's not do this song and dance. Let me know what's going on. And when you send an email and you didn't even take your time to do the things that you needed to do, it's not fair for you to assume that they should take their time because you didn't do it to help you out. That's not how it works. Again, you got to remember, we're in a business. It's not based on your art, unfortunately. Not always. I will say there are plenty of times where your art speaks for itself, but in terms of booking a tour, the main things they're looking for is how many people can you bring in to their club, bar, whatever, aka how much money are you bringing in, and the professionality of how you handle yourself and how you do things. Are you wasting people's time? Are you showing up to the bar wasted? Is your image reflecting bad on them? You don't want any of those things to happen. Okay, so now you have researched, you have, 25 to 50 places that you want to contact for your tour. And the next thing you're going to need to do is start sending emails. And this next thing that I'm about to talk about, there's so many aspects to break down, which I won't break down in this podcast, for a few things. One, in our program that we're about to release, it helps you break down all the different aspects you need in this email. And one, I wouldn't be a smart businesswoman if I just gave that away and not kept you on the hook. But two, there's a lot of things that have to go into it. And you can research it yourself. It's not some foreign thing that, whatever. But it is called an EPK, also known as Electronic Press Kit. Also, what I call it is the musician's resume. And basically, you want your email to be less than one page, and you want it to say all the great things about yourself. How many people can you draw in? Is it a lot? Cool, put that in there. What's your music? What are some cool quotes that people have said about you in whatever magazine or online blog or whatever? And you want to put all these things in that email with you saying what day you want to play, or what days maybe you have available to play. You basically want the beginning of the email to say, "Hi, so-and-so. My name is Gina Fontanella. I am a pop artist from LA, touring around the US, and I'm coming through Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I noticed that your venue does live shows. Would love to be a part of it. I'm planning on being in New Mexico from this date to this date. I noticed on your calendar that July 12th is available and would love to play on that date if it's still available." Because sometimes they don't update their calendar. So keep that in mind as well. And then below, you say, and here are some things below for you to check out. Social media, your music. Put your music first. Please put your music first, because if you don't, that's like the first indication. Because if that night, on their calendar or not on their calendar, if they have an event going on that night and your music doesn't match up, then they need to know that immediately. And then below, like your social media numbers, how many people do you think you can draw? For me, when I first started playing in Albuquerque, just using that as an example, Albuquerque is a very hard place to play. The Midwest is the hardest part of the US to get a show in unless you're from there. They're just not the biggest music cities, but they are big enough for you to play there. But the problem is that they don't have the infrastructure that a lot of other cities have, like LA and New York, where there's like a natural draw and a natural buzz going on to music to where people just show up. However, when there is an event of music, because those things aren't going on as much, if you promote it in the right way and you get whatever venue that you're playing at to help you promote it and help get the word out, everybody shows up because there's not as many things going on. So you can build your audience there quicker if you align yourself in the right way. So keep that in mind. But it is difficult to get a show there, one, because they typically book people that are from there. The shows that I got in Albuquerque were from me. The first time I went through Albuquerque, got no shows. But I went there and I had a friend there, and I decided, hey, I asked him, I said, what are some places that do live music? And he mentioned some places. So I showed up and I got a meal, just hung out for a bit, and met the bar owner, the manager, whatever. And I said, oh yeah, actually, I'm just driving through here. I wanted to play a show, but didn't really know anybody. So I just decided, my friend suggested this place. And so I just decided to come hang out for a couple hours. And they're like, oh, really? Give us your information. We'd love to have you the next time you're through. So I started building it that way. And then also met a friend of mine who goes by Defi. I met him actually on a show in Phoenix, and he was from New Mexico. And so every time I went to New Mexico, I'd hit him up and he would put me in this crazy open mic night that he had built from the ground up in New Mexico. And really the only people that played it were people from New Mexico. You weren't like, rarely did I see people from there that weren't from New Mexico or lived there currently. But because he was my homie and I had done a lot of free promo for him. I try to do it with my friends. I try to say, oh, my friend has an album out. Boom, I'm going to share it. I did that with him all the time, and I would constantly be posting on his post, like, dude, this is awesome. This is sick. Like, blah, 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 blah. And so we just kind of connected and held the friendship. And so when I came out to New Mexico, he was like, dude, you gotta play on this thing. And it was packed. It was a bar restaurant, and the whole thing was art oriented. And what I mean by that is there was like painters and like singers and like spoken word. It was like a whole art creative night. And he said, look, this is your first time doing it, so I only could get you 3 songs. So I was like, cool. All right, I got 3 songs to just kind of knock it out of the park. Well, I put on those 3 songs and people flipped out. And now every time I go back to New Mexico, they're like, dude, you need to hit us up. Let us know. We want you a part of this whenever you're in town. So it took a while to get the ball rolling, but it's because I put the groundwork. I didn't just say, oh, well, nobody booked me in New Mexico, but even though I'm passing through there, I'm just going to have fun and I'm just not going to worry about it. And I'm always just going to skip through New Mexico. It's like, no, you gotta lay down the groundwork in certain cities, because the Midwest is really about the people that live there. They are like, Oklahoma is another great example. And I went to school in Oklahoma, and it was so hard for me to get a show there. And it was because I had to be in the bar, meeting the people I needed to meet, and I had to meet someone else, and they connected me to that bar person. I mean, it really is like that sometimes. It's not as easy as some really big music cities that literally they have the built-in, again, infrastructure to just be like, oh yeah, cool, you're from so-and-so, and everybody passes through this city, so it doesn't really matter where you're from. When you get to and again, I'm talking more about the US, but when you get to the middle of the US, they're a homegrown kind of people. They're trying to build up the people that are from the state that they're from, and they're trying to make it as big as possible. And when they get an outsider in, you got to be a special kind of outsider for them to allow you to be in their world. So, and that's more about being about a person that they would want to grab a drink with, or a person that they would want to hang out with, or a person that if they came out to LA and they knew you were a music person, you would hook them up. Because it's all about give and take. So, I kind of got off on a tangent, but all of those things need to be in your EPK, electronic press kit. Again, you can look it up. It talks about specifics. There's so many articles about an EPK, but the key points are: what date do you want to play, and show your music, and your draw. Those are the 3 things that you always need to have in your EPK, and just to make things clear and concise. I have some other tidbits about that, but I'm going to save it for another time. Then once you send out the email, and again, I'll preface it with this. If you're booking a tour, please don't try to book it a month in advance. Bare minimum, you need 2 months. There's sometimes I did 6 weeks, and that was because I was so busy because I was on a tour and I was trying to book the next tour that I procrastinated a bit. But you really, really need at least 2 months. And I would say the best scenario is 3 months. Book it 3 months in advance, and then you sit and wait. Now, when I say sit and wait, I mean your computer is probably sitting and waiting. You physically are not sitting and waiting. You are getting ready and prepared for the shows that you are about to play. You have to figure out, are these shows mostly 2 hours, 3 hours, 45 minutes, 5 hours? What are they? Are you a band? Are you solo? Are you a duo? Whatever it is, now is your time to practice. Because these emails will come in, most of them will come in the first month. The people that are going to actually respond will come in within the first couple of weeks. But sometimes places that are more musically inclined, like LA, New York, even like Seattle, they take more time to get back to you, and your email might get lost in the shuffle. So the reason why I say you need 3 months is because you have to follow up with those people. In 2 weeks, if you haven't gotten an email from the Crocodile, like, you need to email them again. And that's why, again, you need to have an Excel sheet, because in one of those columns, you need to say, did they email me back and what did they say? So yes, they emailed me back. What was their answer? No, they don't want me to play. Or yes, they do want me to play June 19th. Boom, put it on your calendar. So while you're waiting on those to happen, then you need to just practice. The worst thing that you can do is you can show up to a show and you're not prepared. And now you have 3 months to do it. 3 months is a long time to get your set together. And you probably already have a set together, because if you're playing in your hometown, you probably already have, 9 original songs that you really like. Well, that's 45 minutes. Boom, you're done. Also thinking about, like, and this is getting more of the performance side, but I'll just give a tidbit of this. You need to pre-decide what you're going to say in between songs. A lot of times people think, oh, well, I've just been performing so long and I know what to say. And then you get up on stage and they say some stuff and you're like, whoa, they should not have said that. And that ostracized, like, their whole audience. When you are in the beginning, and I've actually done this recently because I had been playing more just in the last year or so because I wanted to connect with more people. I took a step back from touring. And the other day I went to play a show, and it was after all this COVID stuff. And then I had been really out of practice with shows. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this forever. And I know what to say. Like, I'm at the point, I've put over 10 years of performing. I know what to say to elicit a certain response from the audience. But I had been out of practice for a good 3 months. And I'm telling you, that show was a disaster. I was all over the place. And I felt so embarrassed. I'm laughing about it now, but it was not funny then. I was pissed off at myself, and the audience was very kind to me, and I just kind of blamed it on COVID and being out of the game for a minute. But you really need to sit down, and I'm telling you, write it out what you want to say in between songs, because it's not as easy as you think. Like, you're kind of like almost like a half comedian most of the time. You're a comedian and a motivational speaker. That's what you are. So put the two of those things together, and you have to figure out what you say. But both of those people in both of those careers write down what they're going to say. So you have to have a moment where you pull on their heartstrings. You have to have a moment that shows your humorous side, whatever that may be. Some people got weird humors. That's fine. There's people that connect with that weird humor. You have to kind of play this balance of happy and sad, because you want people to feel all the things that you're feeling in your music. So, and that's a whole other conversation I could talk about too. I can go on a tangent about that. So, let's walk down the things that we've covered so far. First, you decided the cities that you want to play. Second, you found 25 to 50 venues and all their contact information for those cities that you want to play. Third, you get the email together. And the email states all the different things that you need. What date you want to play. What your music sounds like. Any of those things. An electronic press kit is what you're looking for. 4, now you are practicing and getting ready to tour. Now, as those emails are coming in, please be organized. Get your calendar set up. Make sure everybody who is going on tour with you is connected to that calendar, and it says exactly the dates, the time, the address, everything. And usually what will happen is people will send you an email with all the information, almost like a confirmation, and they'll say, Fontanella Band, February 2nd, 2021, 6 p.m., draw, 10 people, ticket price, $10. It'll say all the things that you need to see. Most of the time, I could just copy and paste that into my Google Calendar, and then all of it will pop up, and I'll make sure in the location part that it actually has the address so that when I'm like running out the door and I'm driving to freaking Texas, I don't have to fumble around and then copy and paste the address somewhere. I can just tap it and it'll start. And yeah, I think that's all I'm going to cover for today because, again, it's a lot of information. And once you start diving down the information hole of electronic press kit, that enough will keep you occupied, at least for the week. It took me a good week to get it together, and then it probably took me, probably like a month or two to tweak it, to figure out what venue people were really wanting. And they really just want the information. They really just want the links that are easy to click, and they just want as simple as possible. But when you're starting out, you feel like you always need to put more than what you need to. And so it takes a minute to figure all that out. And also, don't put crazy amount of spaces. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why us as musicians, maybe it's because it's like a visual thing. We think it looks cleaner, but it drives people nuts. Don't put more than one space. One enter, that's it. Don't get crazy with the returns and enters because it's going to drive people crazy. And a lot of times if your email doesn't look right, people will just be like, I'm not dealing with this, because they have a bunch of other people that did it right and it's not irritating. So yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. Work on your guys' electronic press kits. There's so much information about it online. When Music Blueprint actually launches its program, we actually have a step-by-step and a template that you can go through to create your electronic press kit, and then you can just copy and paste that to any email. Ooh, also, this is another little nugget. Make sure to put the person's name. Don't say hi and then don't put the person's name, because they know the email's copy and pasted. Figure out what their name is and say, hi, Dave. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jennifer, whatever, and then say what you need to say. Now, don't get caught up in the game of you copy and paste the last email and then it says Dave and you accidentally send it and it's not supposed to be Dave, okay? Don't get in a rush. Just don't. I've done it too many times, and you can salvage it, but it's just not, you feel embarrassed, and you're already starting off on a bad note with somebody that you're basically asking a favor for. So make sure you take the time, be slow and methodical. I know this part of touring is super annoying, and it's the dirt. It is the dirt of booking tours. The clouds are playing the show, but you got to get into the dirt to be able to play the show, and this is it, and it sucks. And I understand it. I've been there. Trust me. I played 125 shows a year for like 3 years straight, and before that I was still playing just a little bit less than that. I was still up in the realms of playing that many shows. So I get it. I understand the woes, but please don't rush the process. I promise you, if you follow it step by step, you'll be booking shows. Unless you don't know how to sing, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you do know how to sing and you're talented in some way, this is the way to book shows. And this goes across the board for anything. Artists, like painters, singers, it doesn't matter. It all works the same. So, all right, guys, work on your electronic press kits, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.